Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to Final Trade. When I made that video yesterday about the Flesh and Blood sales during the Bonus Bucks event on TCG Player, it got me thinking about Crucible of War a lot, which is kind of a weird thing to think about because it's maybe the least popular set of Flesh and Blood so far. But something really interesting happened in the history of Crucible of War. And when Welcome to Wraith was released, it took about 13 months after the first edition boxes came out before the Unlimited Edition boxes were released. 13 months was the gap. And between for Arcane Rising, between the first edition boxes and the Unlimited Edition was only 8 months. So instead of 13, it was 8. And for Crucible of War, it was 11. So pretty consistent, 13 months, 8 months, 11 months as the gaps. Now, of course, Monarch Unlimited boxes came out a lot sooner, and I don't really know how much of this we can chalk up to logistics issues during 2020, to Flesh and Blood being a brand new game back then, not having very much notoriety with the printers, maybe having money problems or anything else. There's a whole host of good theories of why those numbers seem to decrease over time. Maybe it's on purpose, maybe it's not. So I don't want to try to draw too many conclusions just based on those numbers. But something I would like to talk about is the time period between release of the Unlimited product and the product being declared out of print. And I think that's really interesting because the Unlimited Edition print life for Welcome to Wraith was 13 months. So between the Unlimited Edition release and Legend Story Studios saying that Welcome to Wraith is officially out of print, that was 13 months. And I remember specifically during early 2021, I was starting to buy Flesh and Blood boxes. And I remember one time, at least, that all of the Welcome to Wraith boxes really dried up on TCG Player. It got down to the point where there were only like 6 or 8 sellers with boxes for sale, and the box price went up to like $90, $92, something like that. And, today the Welcome to Wraith boxes, even though they're now out of print, they're only $65. And I remember back in that 2021 early part of the year, I actually had a transaction on TCG Player where I bought some boxes and the seller never sent them to me. And so 2 or 3 weeks after I bought them and I didn't get them, I contacted him and he said, "Hey, I don't have the inventory. Would you like a refund or would you like to, basically wait for the product?" And I told him, "Well, I want the product." And so I remember very specifically in that time period, people were running out and I told him I wanted the product because I had bought it at like, I don't know, $75 or something from him. And the current price by the time I contacted him to see why I hadn't gotten my order, it was up to like $90 or something. And I didn't know if there'd be another print run. There was, but at the time I didn't know that there would be. And so you have that 13-month print life for Unlimited Welcome to Wraith. What was it for Unlimited Arcane Rising? Well, it was 12 months in between the release of Arcane Rising Unlimited and Legend Story Studios saying that Arcane Rising is now out of print. And the same thing if you watch day to day on TCG Player on how many sellers had stuff for sale, what the prices were, what you saw was very specific new waves of inventory coming in, most likely as new printings, because there would be long periods of time with very little inventory, and then there would be a big rush. It got way more desperate in the market than these companies usually let happen when they have the product already printed and sitting in their own warehouses, and they're just trickling it out. So, again, back to this timeline that I drew. What was the print life of Crucible of War Unlimited? It was 2.5 months. So Welcome to Wraith was 13, Arcane Rising was 12, and Crucible of War was 2.5 months from here to the day that Legend Story Studios officially says we're out of print. And so it was a very small time period. And again, this comes back to questions of, was it logistics issues? Was it printer space issues? Was it print capacity issues? Because, there were lots of lockdowns in that time period still. and people were maybe not able to go to work and run the printing presses. So there's a lot of questions of why that happened, why there was only 2.5 months there from unlimited release to unlimited out of print. But the one thing that we can say with near certainty is Crucible of War Unlimited only went to the printing press one time. That's something we can be very certain of. And again, based on my anecdotal memories, I can be very certain that Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising went to the printing press in the unlimited version multiple times, maybe 2 or 3 times each. So to answer the question of, does this mean there's a collector or investor opportunity in this in the future that maybe the market doesn't appreciate today? We need to look at print numbers, see what's available. And this is something that Legend Story Studio has committed to doing, is releasing print numbers. Now, they have said we will not release them until the sets are out of print, and even then we reserve the right to wait a while. So let's look at this, see if there's any information we can glean from it. Welcome to Wraith print numbers. They have the alpha, which is also means first edition, and they printed 400,000 booster packs, which is 16,600 boxes. And they have not released the unlimited edition print numbers, even though it officially went out of print, I believe, in December of 21. Arcane Rising, I remember this, really shocked the community when these data were released, that the print run was the same size from Welcome to Wraith to Arcane Rising. There was no increase in print numbers. And so the same 16,600 boxes made out of those 400,000 booster packs. But again, no clarity on unlimited edition. And Crucible, 900,000 booster packs. So they increased the print run by 125% on a booster pack basis. But remember, the number of cards in these Crucible packs is only 10, where Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising packs have 15 cards. So Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising, they printed 6 million cards each of the first edition product, and Crucible of War, they printed 9 million cards of the first edition product. But what we can tell here is the boxes were still 24 booster pack boxes. So there were 37,500 boxes of first edition Crucible of War. And remember something I said yesterday, which was when it first came out in the unlimited form, it was way more expensive on a per card basis. And so when Unlimited Crew came out, I just didn't buy it because I thought, the price ought to lower. The distribution network price ought to be less than for the regular sets. And so you ought to be able to get this at a lower price in the future. So I just didn't buy it first. And in fact, the set went officially out of print and I still hadn't bought any. So it was a more expensive set on a per card basis. There was more of it printed, and there was almost certainly only one unlimited print wave. Now, we don't know how big that print wave was, but it makes me wonder if a possible explanation for all of this is maybe the market didn't receive Crucible of War very well. Maybe it was an unfortunate period of time. Maybe the 10 card packs kind of put people off, since at the card store they would have cost the same amount as a 15 card pack. Maybe for a whole host of reasons, Legend Story Studio decided, hey, we finally got that one run of Unlimited out of the print shop, and that's going to be it. We're not going to print anymore because there's enough in the distribution chain, and the market reception to this is just not good enough. We're going to move on. And it makes me wonder if in the future we could see the market finally realize that not as much of this product exists as it maybe implicitly thinks exists today. If it's thinking that the supply is on the order of Welcome to Wraith Unlimited and Arcane Rising Unlimited, where there were multiple explicit print runs of the Unlimited product, but here with Crucible, it appears there was only one. Eventually, we should get some clarity from Legend Story Studios of the exact print run sizes for the Unlimited runs of all three of those sets, but who knows how long that will be before we get that. And so there's kind of plus and minuses to potentially trying to bet on this lack of supply that the market hasn't realized yet. One of the minuses is Crucible was not made to be a draftable product. And so I know you can always take a product and kind of quasi draft with it if you kind of build up your own rules of drafting and how many packs and things like that. But on its surface, Legend Story Studios did not design Crew as a draftable product like it did Arcane Rising and Welcome to Wraith. So to the extent that people like to get together with some friends, buy an old box, and have a Saturday night drafting an old set and being nostalgic, that won't happen with Crew. And so the number of boxes being consumed off the market from people drafting is very low. On the plus side, if you have people who get nostalgic for collecting Flesh and Blood in the future, and they just want some boxes to sit up on their shelf, and they say, hey, I want to have one box of every set. Well, in that case, a box is a box. It doesn't matter that it's a smaller Crucible of War box instead of a larger Arcane Rising or Welcome to Wraith box. So think about those things. Think about the risks and the possibilities, the opportunities of maybe buying into this set a little harder, since there's a good potential, I think, that less of this product exists than the market realizes or acknowledges right now. And let me know what you think. I know a lot of this is pretty speculative. I have very weak evidence for any of this. There's not a lot of data. And something that came up in the comments of my video yesterday, a really good question from a viewer, I responded to him that, you can do an analysis based on any quality of data, but you have to acknowledge that your certainty in your answers goes down proportionally with the quality of the data. And so when you have poor quality data, you have low certainty of your conclusions, and high quality data can give you better certainty of your conclusions that you draw from the data. So keep those things in mind. Let me know what you think about this. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe there's some piece of data out there that I just don't know exists. Let me know. Or let me know if I'm just crazy for wanting to put Flesh and Blood boxes back in the closet at all. If you like this kind of content, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and join me on Final Trade. Thanks a lot.